first of all, congratulations for like 130 points jump in your score in what 30-40 days that you did your prep for after the first
Yeah,
attempt, right?
40, 40 days,
40 days,
around 40 days.
around 40 days. So big achievement. 130 points of achievement, like improvement, is a big dream for people in that much short span of time, under that kind of a pressure that you have a deadline coming up in front of you and you have to improve your score. So how did you feel when you had that kind of an improvement?
It feels nice when hard work gets paid off. So
Mhm.
definitely, I was on the top of the means the top of the sky, like, sort of. So it was good. Means it feels nice when your hard work and all the dedications you have. We sacrifice a lot means to achieve our dream.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it was nice. I felt it was good, sir. But I was expecting a little bit more
Mhm.
regarding my verbal score.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
still, 690, I was not expecting means how my exam went
In the
in
first
that
attempt.
respect. Yeah. So,
I do remember our discussion that was there. I still remember how worried you were, and I was at a point of time I was feeling that she has done a lot of hard work. The score doesn't deserve what you have done till now. So that was the feeling that I had. Honestly, I do still remember that discussion of ours. I even remember this place where I was and like all the discussion that we had for that time. So big relief for sure. And I'm sure now that you have been admitted to ISB, uh, that's nothing like it, right? You don't really worry about
exactly.
what happened in GMAT now.
Not like that, but I didn't expect it when call from ISB because 690 is below average score for ISB. So it
Mhm.
was an unexpected thing that with a 690 score, they called me. So that was also a big thing for me.
Mhm.
So it feels
So
nice.
it's like, yeah, average is just a number basically. They will always look at the overall profile and the diversity that you bring. So in your case, you bring a lot of diversity to the batch, in the sense that I
Yeah,
don't see a lot of
that
people with
matters.
from your background.
But the first thing when I was applying to ISB, it was like, okay, 690 is below average score. You get underconfident regarding means when you are applying in that school, you
Mhm.
know that you are lying below the average score. So I was a little bit underconfident that maybe I will not get. I was not sure also,
Mhm.
but
Okay.
somehow it worked.
I'll come to that. I'll actually ask you a lot of questions around that for sure. But let's start with the first thing. So let's talk about how did you go about your first attempt at the GMAT? Like when did you start preparing for the GMAT? Take me through that journey for the first attempt. Like what was your approach then?
So I started around means April 2019, around last year, exact 1 year back, around
Okay.
April
Okay.
2019. So I got to know about GMAT from my friend. He is
Okay.
also a current student of yours now. So
Okay.
I got to know about GMAT, means what are the prospects of appearing in GMAT
Mhm.
exam, what are the
Mhm.
prospects of doing an MBA with a professional experience, of course.
Okay.
So I started preparing from that.
Mhm.
But since I have already went through some competitive exams,
Mhm.
so I thought GMAT is also a sort of competitive exam only. I
Mhm.
just need to cover up the syllabus. I have to finish
Mhm.
up the curriculums. I will practice some previous year questions, and
Mhm.
things will get sorted. So
Mhm.
that was my initial what
Thought
to say
process.
initial setup, that thought process for the GMAT exam.
Mhm.
But later on, means after I started preparing for it, I saw that it needs some strategy. It's not just an exam. It's just
Mhm.
not just a simple exam or a competitive exam sort of. It plays with your stress level. It plays with your pressure level on the
Mhm.
spot in the exam. You have to
Mhm.
deal with the stress. You have to deal with the pressure. For that, you need a strategy.
Mhm.
But before that, I didn't have those things in my mind for
Mhm.
my first attempt.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
things got flopped there, and I failed there drastically. And so my score also came around 580, 560, sorry,
560. Yeah. I
560,
remember.
560. So it was very disappointing at the first time.
Mhm.
But then I came in contact with you, sir,
Mhm.
and my thought process regarding GMAT exam totally changed. Means I didn't even know that there are 4 quarters in the GMAT exam. Means we have 7 to 8 questions in every quarter. They judge around those 4 quarters. I didn't have idea about that. Regarding CR based questions, I didn't know that there is a basic framework for every question. We need to identify those frameworks. I didn't have those ideas. So after that first call with you, it changed my outlook towards GMAT exam. GMAT basically needs a proper, well-defined strategy. If you want to crack, if you want to go above 680 plus or 650 plus, you need a proper strategy. Not just that you will finish curriculums, you'll mock up some previous year questions, and you'll just sit for the exams. You will not able to crack it anyhow. Even if you crack it, you will not get your desired score if you're aiming above 650 plus. So that's
very
how
important
my
learning indeed, because I can kind of tell my students that GMAT has 3 skill levels. Okay, the first skill level is where you learn concepts, like you talk about what is a verb, what is a subject, what is a noun, whatever. And second skill level is where you learn how to apply those concepts using the right strategies, right? And the third skill level is where you have enough capability of understanding why are you weak at certain things, where are you weak, and you work on those weak areas and take more practice and take the test. That's it. So I generally see students moving directly from level 1 to level 3 without going through level 2, where they learn the methods. Right? So I feel that's one thing which is the most important, and the same thing I feel you also noticed, that strategy is one thing that was missing in your approach. Right?
I had my weakness, sir. I still am underconfident with CR based questions, but I understood what is the strategy of tackling those questions. This is the bridge. First, you have to build up your strategy, how you have to tackle those questions. Then you work on your weakness, then you work on your mistakes, then only you can get to your desired score. So that is my learning from the first call I had with you. That okay, I had to have a proper strategy. It's not just a basic exam, you just go and sit for it. So that's how things got changed.
Great. So which resource did you use for the first attempt? I know that you used EGMAT, or the EGMAT course.
For sentence correction module, I used EGMAT, and for maths, I used basic GMAT club questions previous years. I finished almost all the GMAT prep questions, whatever was available in GMAT club forum. So I finished maths from there. Also, SC also I practiced from there. RC also I practiced it from. And especially for sentence correction, I used EGMAT module.
Okay. So you did not go through the other modules of EGMAT as such. You just went through the sentence correction, and
because I heard that means SC module of GMAT was good. Means it is good for beginners, or if you want to get a good accuracy. So I opted for EGMAT at that time.
Okay, great. So when you started with GMAT Viz, like, tell me get more deeper into, like, what was your overall thought process? I guess when you started, you did not have the SC module on the platform yet. You were one of the early adopters of the product, and you had just Quant and CR and RC with you. Right?
RC model. Yes.
So I know your understanding will be limited to that, but what was the difference that you noted from whatever resources you were using, GMAT Club and EGMAT earlier? So what was the difference that you noted in the platform?
GMAT Club is basically a forum where there are solutions are there by different persons. So what is the right approach? What should be the right approach to attempt any question? That was missing there. I was just practicing questions. I was just going through the solutions. I was just seeing what are the solutions provided by there in the GMAT Club forum. But when I opted in a CR module in GMAT Viz, I saw there is a certain framework for every questions. Means you have to, there is a plan and goal based questions. So my thought process entirely changed. After going through that CR module, I started looking through the questions. Okay, let me guess what is the framework for these questions. Another thing which changed my thought process was identifying the incorrect answers from the options. That I learned from GMAT Viz, because the explanation which were provided. So what the first foremost thing is, you have to learn from your mistakes. Unless you don't learn from your mistakes, you cannot excel in this exam. This is the key point for this exam. You have to learn from your mistakes. Even if you do 10 questions per day, but to learn why the other options are wrong. Why one option is correct is means rest apart that why the other four options are wrong. You have to understand that. Only then your accuracy will improve. So that thing I learned from the especially CR module and RC module of GMAT quiz platform was very tough. Means I used to get zero in every practice quiz of RC module. I used to get fed up that why I can't do here. I'm able to getting 70% accuracy in GMAT Club forum RC questions, and I'm getting zero here. How it is possible?
Okay.
So I started working on my weakness. Means I started going through the explanation word by word. Why the option is wrong? Why the option A is wrong? And why option C is correct? So learning from your mistake was the first thing which I learned from this platform. So that helped me a lot. To be very frank, in those 40 days, I didn't practice so much of questions which I practiced before that. Means in my first attempt, I have covered up I have exhausted GMAT prep, means whatever materials was available in the forum. But in those 40 days, I have hardly solved, means 10 to 20 questions of ours, maybe 3 to 4 passages per day. I started learning from my mistakes. I started identifying what is wrong in that option, why it is not the correct answer. So that is the thing which means my approach towards a question, tackling a question changed. So sir, if you see my ESR, means my second attempt ESR, I scored an 85% accuracy in RC.
Oh my
So
God.
that was
How did it feel when you had zero? So that's an irony. In fact, you were getting 70% right in GMAT Club, but even then your RC was not strong. In the GMAT quiz course, you were getting 0%, and your final score is 85. My God, that's great.
So it clicked. Means what happens is I used to fear means topics like humanities, means history based. They have so much of technical jargon. Coming from an engineering background, I used to get the science based RCs almost 90% correct. But when it comes to that humanities topic and sort of those topics, I used to fumble a lot. I couldn't
You
take
don't
the
find
grasp
interest
of the
in it.
meaning. Yeah, means then I learned that involved means reading what is there in GMAT quiz platform. I learned that okay, you have to involve yourself even if you don't like the topic, you have to involve yourself and try to understand what the author is trying to tell. So in the last leg of before giving the exam, my fear of tackling big passages, 700 level passages was gone.
That's the most important part. You should not feel
reflected
afraid of that. You should feel confident about what you are doing. That's the most important part.
Exactly. So that reflected in my ESR, sir. When I saw my ESR, so I came to know that I got 85% accuracy. So the RC module helped me a lot. It almost overcome my fear of tackling any type of passage from any topic. Means it's what happened is before the exam I stopped. Before 2-3 days before the exam I stopped practicing from the GMAT Club for many new questions. I used to read those RC module explanations that how we have means separated the passages, how you have to read between the lines of the passages, how you are tackling the questions, how you are getting the correct answer from the option. So that helped me a lot. So that is
that's
how
a very
I achieved.
very important learning. In fact, I was having a discussion with another student of ours who has improved his score by 110 points, so he's still not till your level right now, but he said a very interesting point which is very similar to what you mentioned. And he said that in the first attempt he used to just focus on finding out which answer is right. Now his focus is on finding out which answer is right, but at the same time he finds out why the others are wrong.
Right? So that is very important, sir. That is very important.
Yeah, you should be confident about the answer. Otherwise, you are like stuck in two close choices. Most people say that okay, in verbal, I always know that these two are one of these two is the answer. I don't know which one.
So that used to happen in my first attempt. I used to get confused between two options. And RC big passages I used to skip. Means I used to fear a lot. What is this? I'm not getting it. So boring. It's not getting in my head. but after going through RC, means you have to thoroughly study. If anybody studies thoroughly the RC module, even if he gets 0 in those practice quiz, he should not get demotivated that why I am getting 0% in. It's not that you have to score 100% in that module. Just learn why you're getting 0%. Why? What is the mistake you're making? So that's where the comparison came, and I got 85% accuracy.
Because you're learning at that phase. No one is testing you at that phase. That is not your GMAT. You're supposed to learn. So even if you get score high or low, whether it's 0 or 100, what is more important is whether you're learning. So that's the most important piece. So tell me one thing. So a lot of people say, again, this is a doubt which a lot of students have, is how do I solve question in 2 minutes? What do you think is, like, how will you answer this question if someone asks you how do I solve a question in 2 minutes? I feel that I can solve a question if I am given more time, lot of time, but I can't solve it in 2 minutes. So what will be your answer to someone who says this?
Sir, in RC based questions, I will say that if you have a thorough understanding of the passage, I think the questions like main idea, then some which are inference based questions, I think it can be, if you thoroughly understand what is the structure of the passage, what is the meaning of the passage, it can be answered in 2 minutes. I think so. Because I have already, but there are some questions which are CR based type questions we find in RCs. So that really takes up time, means you have to go through little bit deeper into the passage. So I think if you do a involved and evolved reading, I think so it can be done in 2 minutes. But it's not that you should attempt every question in 2 minutes. If you think that this question I can do it, take your time, maximum 3 minutes.
Good.
Try to attempt it, but if you cannot, just skip it and go to the next questions. Don't waste your time. I will tell that don't waste time beyond 3 or 3.5 minutes on a certain questions when you are not confident about the answer. I think so that should be the strategy.
And when you are learning this approach, involved and evolved reading, obviously it would have been taking you more time, right? Earlier, it might be taking you 5 minutes to solve a question, maybe. Just a guess, right? But it automatically boils down to the test day. So once you start practicing, let's say you practice 50 odd passages on it, you automatically see a significant improvement in the time that you're spending per question. Right? So that's a good thing.
More means after you learn the process, if you start practicing, automatically your time will get reduced when you will be attempting those questions. So even if you are in the first attempt, when you're in the learning phase, if you're taking 6 minutes, I used to take 6 minutes per question to answer, especially in the RC module of GMAT quiz platform. It was so tough. I couldn't even get it. What is happening? And I used to see that every answer is wrong. Whatever I attempted, I used to get 0%. Where I'm going wrong? So I started learning from the solutions. So, okay, I have to deal with these questions. Like I started learning, and automatically my time got reduced. So that should be the strategy.
And it is important that the solution also speaks the same language. As in, if we are trying to teach you like involved and evolved reading, I'm sure you would have benefited a lot from the kind of detail which is for every passage, every paragraph that we are analyzing, every sentence that we are analyzing. So that is where the most of the thought process needs correction, because most people just focus on the question and not so much so on the argument or the passage for that matter. And if you analyze it well, the answer choice elimination becomes a lot more easier.